Today our topic is zero waste. I'm Ayşen Zafigarova and my groupmates.
I am Susan Hacıova.
I'm Afsana Mamadova.
And I'm Fatih Şukur.
So now I'm going to give explanation what is zero waste. So zero waste it's a way of thinking and lifestyle that focuses mainly on reducing the waste that people produce by recycling the items that cannot be used more than once and reusing the materials as much as possible. The main goal of zero waste is to minimize the amount of trash that ends up in the landfills and also create a sustainable system that will reduce the waste and prevent our planet from bad consequences. So these achievements can be done by practices such as composting, recycling, and reusing the materials that people produce. So now I'm going to continue with the essence of zero waste and why it's important. So let's begin with the conservation of resources. So as we recycle and reuse the same materials, it preserves our natural resources and actually has a great impact on our environment and planet. So secondly, as you know, landfills are the main source of methane, which also has a negative impact on our environment. So reduction of methane also reduces the amount of greenhouse gas emissions, which as a consequence preserves climate change. And the next protection of wildlife can be considered. For example, according to statistics, millions of marine animals, also animals from the forests, die per year because of rubbish and trash. So, in one word, because of waste. So, by reduction of waste, we can save their lives also. The last but not least, according to the World Bank, Azerbaijan wastes approximately 1.2 millions tons of waste per year. So recycling it will save cost and will have a positive impact on our economy. So overall, it's important because of four reasons. Because it preserves our natural resources, because of reduction of greenhouse gases, and also protection of animals and cost savings.
Now that we know what is zero waste, let's look at the methods that we use in order to do this project. I want to say that since zero waste is so broad topic, we wanted to narrow this topic and see the implementation of zero waste in our own ADA campus. So in order to collect data, we use surveys, we talked with ADA staff, and we did so many online research. Let's look at the survey first. First question we asked, how important do you think it is for individuals and society to reduce waste and practice zero waste living? It's, as you see, it is really positive feedback that we get. So many people press 5, which means that it is important for them. But it is in theory, and when we look at the practice, when we look at the real life, we see the difference. When we look at the second question, which says what motivates you to practice zero waste and reduce your waste output, we got plenty of interesting answers, like life of my kids, I don't want to die during an apocalypse. After taking intro to environmental class, I started to be more thoughtful about environment, especially zero waste. But the most popular answer was nothing. Nothing motivates them to practice zero waste. Let's look at the diagram questions. We asked, do you waste your food during your meals? As you see, most of the people said sometimes, and some people said that never. Sometimes it's actually not dangerous when we think about that, but when we put the question if so many people say sometimes that's really plenty of food that we are wasting, so sometimes can be dangerous. The second question says, how successful are you at separating your trash to different bins? And we got, again, when I have time, I try to separate them correctly. Again, sometimes, and most of the time, I just randomly throw them. These percentages are bigger, and again, people are not attentive enough to separate the trash. And when we talked with ADA restaurant administrative persons and staff, actually the scenario was good, and we saw that the trash that ADA producing is actually going to somewhere to recycle. The plastic going to factory and given a second chance. Paper goes to another factory and it is reusing in order to make card boxes. But in Cinnabon and Caffeine, we saw when we asked this staff if they use separate trash bins, they said that no, we don't. And Cinnabon exactly said that we don't have time for that. But Caffeine is relatively better because they suggested the administration and they to provide them with trash bins, and they want to actually separate the trash. In the one, we just saw the survey, and people do not separate their trash attentively, so that's a problem. Actually, we send the trash even though it is not separated, but in factories, people do separate the trash. So what we can do in order to make those people life easier is to be more attentive and separate our trash here at ADA campus.
After Suzanne's presentation, now we know that we generate so much waste every day, and to be honest, much of it ends in the landfills, polluting our air, water, and soil. But the good news is that we can all take simple actions to minimize our waste. The most important thing is to become more conscious about our trash. We need to educate ourselves about the impacts of our actions and help to protect the environment. The most effective way to switch to zero waste lifestyle is refusing single-use items. Items like plastic straws, bags, and utensils are used only for a few minutes, but they take hundreds of years to break down. It is better to use reusable bottles, bags, and utensils. Another effective way is trying to minimize food waste. It is very important to plan our meals, buy only what we need, and use up leftovers. Composting is a great option to minimize food waste and get nutrient-rich soil for our gardens, of course. Also, preferring products with minimal packaging will help us to minimize waste, because when we prefer products with minimal packaging and also or packaging that can be recycled or composed is great for minimizing our waste. Also, vintage shops and second-hand stores are great places to find pre-loved items that they are in great situation that can be used again. These shops offer wide range of clothing to furniture that when we use them, we can decrease the demand for new products which require a lot of resources to produce and package. Finally, it is very important to make sure that we recycle correctly, because it is essential to understand that what materials, what products can be recycled or cannot be in our area, and we have to be very attentive when we throw items that they're dry and clean.
Now we are moving to the conclusion. So to summarize, we learned that the term zero waste is a one way of living, and it can be defined as reducing the waste that we produce as much as possible. Now we know that going zero waste is extremely crucial because it might have positive impacts such as saving and protecting our planet, thinking about next generations, and even reducing the climate change. The result of the research of waste in our country unfortunately was not that good, because according to the World Bank statistics, in Azerbaijan only 20% of the waste is managed correctly. But of course there are methods to manage our waste, but first of all we have to be conscious about waste management. Then we can start to take simple steps. Those simple steps can be composting, minimizing the usage of plastic stuff, and reducing the overconsumption. The another promising solution is that we can use second-hand shops, because usage of second-hand shops can reduce the overproduction. Then we had surveys about the waste in our campus. In those surveys we saw that even though people are aware that we are using and wasting too much, but we are not behaving accordingly to it. Survey was disappointing, because survey showed that considerable amount of people does not separate their trash at all, and the other amount of people do it only when they have time. But despite these negative behaviors, we have also a good news, which is in our the waste that produced in our campus goes to factories for being recycled. And lastly, we have also one alternate solution to reduce the waste for future. It's about instead of printing papers and using ink, we can start to use more digital resources, because printing is also another cause of waste. So these are our references, and we collected all our data from the reliable sources. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for watching. Bye bye.
Thanks for watching.